Imperfect perfection. What a weird, controversial, oxymoronic pair of words, right? And what in the world do I mean? But mind you, I did not say the perfect imperfection. The perfect imperfection would be me taking 3 steps back and falling into a lake with Eric's super expensive microphone. And while I don't mind doing backflips into a lake, I usually like to know the depth of the water. So that's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about is that we translators tend to be nerds, and I use that in a very loving, affectionate sense of the word. We tend to be perfectionists, and that is good, but I would dare say that there is nothing perfect or absolute in this world. And I'm not talking about very esoteric and divine and spiritual things like God. We're going to leave that alone. I'm talking about more practical things, but also philosophical. There is no absolute right. There is no absolute wrong. There is no absolute beauty. There is no absolutely perfectly rendered product. And all we can talk about is practical perfection or imperfect perfection. But why would that matter in translation or interpreting? Let me give you an example. We have this word in Russian, zlopamятный, and there's even a joke. Я не злопамятный, я просто помню зло. The word has no exact one word English equivalent. It means to remember evil, to bear grudges. And while yes, we could say spiteful, vindictive, vengeful, it would not be an exact equivalent. Okay, if it were for the purposes of a pun, like in Russian, I would be like, I'm not spiteful, I'm just full of spite, you know? Or I don't bear grudges, I'm just a begrudging bear. And then you get the joke effect. Otherwise, probably to bear grudges is the best translation. But I'm just giving you an example. I'm sure you can think of lots or loads or myriads in your own language. But that said, there is never a perfect translation or interpretation, and going for perfection is not necessarily the best goal. I know I'm probably, like I've said in other clips, going to get banished and ostracized, but this is no excuse for being sloppy or for not doing your due diligence. It is the point here, the call to action is to be as perfect as you can in the imperfect world that we live in and interpret in under the circumstances. Let me give a few examples. Let's say that you're an interpreter and you're doing simultaneous or consecutive, and you're like, should I say airplane or should I say plane? What sounds more poetic in the context? Or should I say she walked, or should I say she strolled, or should I say this or that? Well, in interpreting, this is silly. You're not going to ask the judge or your patron or whoever to wait for a minute while you come up with the perfect word, right? You say what comes to mind. And curiously, very often what will happen is if you gain momentum, usually the perfect word will flash into your mind, at least for me. And sometimes you'll say a synonym, and then the best word will flash into your mind. So that's interpreting. In translation, obviously there are less excuses and justifications for not being perfect, because you have all the time in the world, or at least a lot of time, to research terminology, this and that and the other thing, right? But the time still comes to deliver. So my call to action and my philosophy in this world of linguistics is deliver the utter bestest, to use bad English, translation or interpreting that you can in the moment, but deliver for God's sake or for whoever's sake, for the client's sake, for your own sake. I used to be very much of a perfectionist until I still am. I used to think, oh, I did not run 100% hard. First of all, I actually didn't understand the word hard. This is very cute. I thought that hard meant that it has to be difficult. The other thing is I thought I had to run 100% hard, but 100% does not exist in this world, right? And I actually felt guilty because I did not, in every workout, run 100% hard. So deliver your 99% perfect interpretation or translation. I'll give you another example before I conclude. I was at a seminar by a very clever lady, I think Corinne McKay. The seminar was about passing any interpreting exam on the first try, and which she did, and that's actually why I perked up my ears and I was very keen to listen to her, because people who have done what they teach you are usually very good teachers. But she said, on exam day, you need to be at 80% of your best, because you'll never deliver your 100% interpretation on exam day. So 80% of your best has to be good enough. And I'll give you another example. We're at Lake Como here, which is probably named after the famous Italian lake, which is actually the north of Italy. It's beautiful. I used to live in Switzerland. It's magnificent. But anyway, I have a good friend. He's a professional runner, at least he was, Tony. And about half a mile from here, we ran a series of relays, and anybody who's from Minnesota and a runner knows Como relays. And we won the last race, which was the championship, but we lost the week before. And it was kind of my fault because I didn't run 100% hard. The solution would have been not to beat myself over the head that I didn't beat that runner on that day. The solution would have been priorly to train hard enough so that even my performance would have been better than his. So hopefully I've given you something useful to think about. Don't ever go for the utmost absolute perfection. Go for the utmost perfection you can achieve in the circumstances, and I think you'll be quite all right, especially if you're a true translator and interpreter and a perfectionist and a linguistic nerd at heart like me, then you'll be quite all right. Write me, let me know what you think of all these thoughts, and if you ever need my help with translation, interpreting, consulting, training, then you know where to find me. It's at 9:30 at night at Lake Como in Minnesota. Ciao.